Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker. Thank you for joining me today. Before we get started with today's card, I want to announce the giveaway winners from last week's 500 subscriber giveaway. So here are the 4 people that were randomly chosen to receive a card from me. If your name is on this list, please send me an email. My email is on the bottom of the screen, and I will get you a card in the mail as soon as possible. Now for the grand prize winner. This person will be receiving a gift card for $25 to Simon Says Stamp. Congratulations, Victoria. Please send me an email and I'll get you that gift card as soon as possible. I also wanted to quickly thank everyone that left comments and took part in the giveaway. I really enjoyed hearing from all of you, and all of your support is very appreciated. Okay, let's dive right in and get started with today's card. So I recently purchased this set of watercolors and it just arrived. This is the Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolor set. It comes with this little swatch chart already attached to the top, but I'm not going to use that. I instead created my own on a piece of Canson watercolor paper. I did this because I wanted the chart to be a little bit larger, and I also wanted to see what the colors would look like on the paper that I use. I pulled out a stamp which has 3 daisies on it, and I'm going to stamp it onto a piece of Canson watercolor paper using some antique linen distress ink. I used my stamp press to stamp this instead of my MISTI tool because the piece of paper that I'm using is a little bit too large to fit into my MISTI. I decided to use the antique linen distress ink because I'm kind of going for a no-line watercolor look here. Because the antique linen is such a light color, and because of the properties of the distress ink, this ink will kind of fade away while I'm painting. I taped my piece of Canson watercolor paper to my board in order to help prevent as much warping as possible. I have a round palette right next to my board for mixing all of my colors. You can't see it because it's off screen, but I have 2 cups of water right above my palette. I like to use 2 different cups of water for my watercoloring. I like to keep one of them really clean and the other one I use to clean my brush. For the center of these 3 flowers, I'm using the colors Yellow Ochre, Burnt Sienna, and Raw Umber Deep. I have to say that it took me a very long time to paint these flowers. It took me a good hour and a half. And I think that that's mostly because this is the first time that I'm using this watercolor set, and I was really getting to know it. I don't have a whole lot of experience with watercolors. This is actually the best quality watercolors I've ever used before, and I would say that these are probably between medium and higher ranged watercolors. They're definitely not the highest end watercolors, but they are way better than the ones that I've used before. My experience with watercolors is very much limited to Crayola and the Michaels brand of watercolors. So using these was wonderful. I loved it so much. These colors are so vibrant, and like when you go from Crayola to this, there's a very noticeable difference. Using these watercolors also really made me want to invest in a higher quality watercolor brush. Now, the brushes that I used here worked just fine for me. These are some cheaper brushes that I got on Amazon, and they did the trick for the painting. Like, I didn't have a lot of trouble getting this done, but who knows how much easier it would have been or how much better it would have come out with a higher quality brush. I have had a lot of people tell me, a lot of people that are really good at watercoloring, they've told me that a higher quality brush can really affect the way your painting comes out, and it can really be very helpful. So yeah, I'll probably just do a little research, and a little ways down the road I'll buy one higher quality brush and test it out and see how I feel about it. I don't want to invest in a whole ton of them until I know for sure, because that's a lot. Those higher quality watercolor brushes can be pretty expensive. Anyways, when I started coloring these flowers, the idea that I had for them was I wanted them to be kind of a mixture of pink and yellow. So for this first flower here, I did a wash of the yellow. I did it really lightly. I laid down the color and I used a paper towel and dabbed up a lot of it. And that's what I do a lot of the time with this particular painting is I'll put the color down and then I'll come in with my paper towel and just really dab it up to get a very, very light wash. Now, like I said, I was really learning with this card. I was learning how to use these watercolors, and because of the fact that I was learning, the first flower I did here is my least favorite, and I really like the way the other two come out much better. So the next time that I use these watercolors, I think that I understand them a lot better, and I think that I would do a lot better job. So after I did the wash of yellow, I came in and I added pink to all of the petals. As I did this, I noticed that I really liked the hint of yellow, but I wanted the pink to be the main color, so I started to really deepen that pink color. This video is really long. Like I said before, this painting took a really long time, and trying to edit that and whittle it down to a very short video is very hard, especially if you want to show all of the watercoloring and you don't want to skip big chunks of it. So this video is pretty long. And I can already tell, and I'm only like 6 or 7 minutes into the narrating, I can already tell that I'm going to run out of things to say if I only talk about the card. So I'm going to talk a little bit about something else. So this week has been crazy. It's been a really busy week, lots of stuff going on. My husband's parents just moved here from California, and we live in New York, so that's quite a long ways. And they made the trip. They drove all the way across the country. It took them a week to drive here, and they just arrived. And we've been helping them settle down the past few days. And they just got into their house, and we have been helping them with their house a little bit. So it's been very busy. So I don't think I've told the story of how I met my husband on my YouTube before, so I'm gonna let you all know how I met my husband. So I actually met my husband online, and it was because we both played video games. We both played World of Warcraft. And yes, we are huge nerds, but that's how we met, and we got to talking, and we would talk every day, pretty much all day, either on the phone or on Skype. And we did that for 2.5 years. Let's see, it started in April of 2010, and he finally moved here in December of 2012. So, however long that is. But yeah, he lived in California and I lived in New York, and that's quite a long distance relationship, but we made it work. In December 2012, he quit his job. He had some sort of issue and he ended up quitting. And then he decided, I don't have a job. It's probably the best time for me to move there if we're going to move forward with this relationship. So he made the decision to move out to be with me. And then we ended up getting married in October of 2013. So we got married pretty quickly after that. The one really tough thing about it, though, was that his parents still lived in California. And he's an only child and the only family that they really have. And it was a little sad that they had to be so far apart. Fast forward to now, they both are retired and they decided to move here. And it's really exciting because now we are so close to them. They're about 15 minutes away from our house and we get to see them all the time. And they get to see their grandkids, so that's great. Back to the card. So I did the second flower and I did it in more of a purpley pink tone. And I really love the way that it came out. It's my favorite flower on here. I don't know if it's because I had gotten to a point where I understood the watercolors more, but I feel like I did such a better job on the second one. That first one, let's just forget about the first one and just look at the second one. For the center of the flowers, in order to get that little texture detail, I do kind of round scribbles to really make it look like it's kind of fuzzy. Okay, so back to story time. So this whole week we've been helping my in-laws and we've been helping them get settled and helping them with their new house. And we've been going over there a lot. And the very first time that we went over there, they were showing us around. We hadn't been over there yet. We hadn't seen the place. And actually my brother came over with us because he's a contractor and he's going to be helping them with a few things that they need done around the house, including helping my mother-in-law get her brand new craft room all beautified and wonderful. They have a really nice big basement, and half of it is going to be her craft room, and the other half is going to be kind of a man cave for my father-in-law. And I can't wait until that gets done, and I can't wait to kind of help her put that together. I love organizing craft rooms, and I kind of really am looking forward to helping her put her craft room together. Anyways, back to the card. So I got these three flowers pretty much done here, and I just kept kind of working on that first flower because I never truly was completely happy with it. So that's why I just kept adding to it. I was trying to get it to a point where I liked it. And in the end, I just kind of had to walk away from it and be like, okay, it's not terrible. I don't know why I didn't like it very much. I think it's because it was so dark and I kind of prefer that lighter look with watercoloring, and I just went way too dark with the first flower. Now, I didn't hate it in the end. I love the way this card turned out. Would I have liked it more if maybe I did it a second time and I had a better understanding of the watercolors? I probably would like it. If I did it a second time, I'd probably like that one better, but I'm not going to do it a second time. I don't like to do things more than once. Now, I will use these watercolors again in the future, and I'll probably like whatever I do then a little bit more because I understand the watercolors better. But for now, this is how this card turned out, and I was actually really happy with it, even if that first flower isn't perfect. I can still love it. So I finished up the flowers. I colored in the stems with like a green and then added a little bit more shading, and then I'm going to work on the background. I added a lemon yellow color to the background, and I'm just going to do it all around the flowers and then kind of have it fade out as it comes away from the flowers. So I just keep adding more water to have those edges fade out. After that, I added a little bit of the yellow ochre color just to give this area a little bit more shading, and I also wanted to tone down the really bright yellow color. And again, I'm going to bring that around the flowers and let it kind of fade out. And the way that I have it fade out is I just keep adding water. I don't want any real sharp edges to the paint, so I add a lot of water to let it slowly fade out. I took a paintbrush and got it really saturated with one of the colors that I used in the flowers, one of the pink colors, and I just kind of splattered that on the paper a little bit. I didn't want to go too crazy with that splatter. I just did a very gentle, light amount. Now that the flowers have had a little bit of time to dry, I'm coming back in with a very small paintbrush and adding some detail and some shading. I mostly just wanted to deepen the color on the centers because I thought it was a little bit too washed out and it needed a little bit more shading. I also really deepened the pink colors on this flower on the left. I just wanted these flowers to look really bright and summery. So that's why I decided to really go crazy pink with that flower. For the center of the flowers, I just took a very concentrated amount of the same exact colors that I used earlier and added that. And then I went back in and added a little bit of texture by doing the scribbly lines that I talked about earlier. And after I finished that, I was really happy with the way that this looked, and I'm going to move on to making the sentiment. So for the sentiment, I chose a stamp that comes from the exact same stamp set as these 3 daisies, and it says, "Thanks a bunch." So I cut down this watercolor paper to the size that I want it to be, and it doesn't fit in my MISTI, but I was able to still use the MISTI tool to stamp this sentiment by just kind of having it hang off the edge. I heat embossed that sentiment in a gold embossing powder, and then I put a lot of foam tape on the back of this piece of watercolor paper. The paper did get a little bit warped from the watercoloring, but when you use the foam tape, it kind of helps straighten it out. I recently bought these little half pearls in a ton of different colors, and I decided that the little pink pearls were perfect for this. So I added a bunch of those, and then I also added some clear sequins, and I used my Tombow glue to adhere those. To finish up this card, I used my white gel pen to add some dashed lines all the way around the border. And then this card is all done. It's a really simple looking design, but as you can see, a lot of work went into this, and I was really happy with the way that it turned out. I would definitely recommend these watercolors, and I can't wait to use them again. Thank you for watching today. I hope you really enjoyed this card design. All of the supplies that I used can be found in the description down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you can see all of my future videos. I'm going to be back with a new video on Friday. Again, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day today.